Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. As Thierry said, my name is Sheena, and I'm here today presenting on behalf of Kelly Black and myself. We are both PhD candidates at Carleton University. Like many others in this room, Kelly and I have been part of an ArcticNet project called Improving Access to Post-Secondary Education for Inuit, led by Thierry Rodin. Our part of the project has been to focus on the political economy of adult and post-secondary education in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut since the 1950s. And Kelly and I are now working on a project that ties together this historical work with contemporary discussions about establishing a university in the North. So we often hear that Canada is the only circumpolar nation without a university in the Arctic. Although discussions about developing such an institution have been taking place for decades, there seems to be renewed interest in the idea of a Northern University, and in particular, an Inuit University in Canada's Arctic. In 2010, the Walter and Duncan Gordon Foundation published an environmental scan, which serves as one type of benchmark for the many, sometimes competing, visions for a university in the Canadian Arctic. This report was the result of interviews with dozens of representatives from existing post-secondary institutions and programs, as well as government and representatives from grassroots organizations like the Inuttaqutaq University Society in Iqaluit. The following year, the National Committee on Inuit Education published First Canadians, Canadians First, the National Strategy for Inuit Education in Canada. After reviewing the research on post-secondary education and speaking with Inuit and engaged others across Canada, the National Committee recommended that a university be established in Inuit Nunavut. That same year, the government of Nunavut signed an MOU with the GNWT and Yukon government regarding university development in the territorial north. This non-binding but politically important agreement states that the three territories will commit to, quote, working collaboratively and cooperatively to explore options for northern university development through the establishment of a tri-territorial committee. To our knowledge, this committee has not yet been struck. Just these two examples from the same year alone offer different visions for a university in the North. One, a new university that embeds and validates Inuit knowledge and values and reflects the political, economic, and social realities of Inuit Nunavut. The other, a pan-territorial university that would likely grow out of the existing colleges. While these two events are critical because they indicate interest by Northern leaders and decision makers in the idea of a university, they only hint at what that might look like. 6 months after the tri-territorial MOU was signed, the Premier of the Yukon announced his government's intention to develop Yukon College into the first university in the North. In Nunavut, the most tangible step forward on the idea of a university came this past April, when Agnico Eagle announced that it would commit $5 million in support of building a university in Nunavut. The Minister of Education was there and said that the department was not, at that time, in a position to elaborate on how a university would be established. In advance of this afternoon's session with Minister Quassa and Mary Simon, Kelly and I thought it might be useful to share the early stages of a paper we are working on that has three primary objectives. First, to document and draw together divergent contemporary conversations about establishing a university in the North. To situate the development of a university in the broader political economy and policy history of Northern Canada. And third, by building on existing Canadian research as well as on relevant domestic and international experiences and our own research, we aim to identify key decision points and ideas for how to move forward, including costing. Currently, post-secondary education in the North is offered through 3 territorial colleges, each with a network of community learning centers across their regions. The colleges offer a wide range of programming, including some undergraduate programs through partnerships with Southern degree-granting institutions. There are a number of innovative post-secondary programs offered in the North and or targeted to Indigenous students. In the West, there's the Dishinta-Bush University, and in the East, Nunavut-Siviniksavut, based in Ottawa, the Akitsarak Law School, and the MEd, offered through UPEI. Research on and evaluations of these programs, some of which has been done by members of this panel, have provided important insight into the experiences of students in these programs. This research also reveals what has worked and what hasn't worked in the realm of higher education for Northern students. As Mary Simon wrote in a recent issue of Northern Public Affairs magazine, quote, "These programs represent the first phase of a university-based education in the Arctic. It is now time to move into the second phase of establishing a permanent university infrastructure in the Arctic." So, if the next phase is establishing a university, what will it do? What can it do? And what are the next steps? A survey of Canadian university mission statements reveals that the words community, knowledge, teaching, learning, research, and society continue to guide university philosophies and objectives. Nevertheless, the commercialization and privatization of university education is a growing reality. A reproduction of the Southern University model may not be appropriate or desirable in the North, but it may be useful to observe and analyze the contemporary direction of post-secondary education in Canada to decide what elements to include and which ones to exclude. Establishing a university in Northern Canada represents an opportunity for Northerners, for Inuit, to innovate and reimagine what the university can do. From a practical standpoint, universities provide access to teaching and learning in a variety of disciplines. It is well documented that access to higher education in the North is limited. The national strategy, the Inuit Society, and others see an Inuit or Nunavut-based university as an opportunity to improve access to post-secondary education built on Inuit knowledge and social values that reflects the political, social, and economic priorities of the region. Unlike institutions dedicated to vocational or technical training, which tend to be aligned directly with labor market demands, the university has its origins in retrieving, sometimes problematically, creating, critiquing, and disseminating knowledge. As communities of learners and teachers, universities act as gathering places for people with diverse ideas and perspectives to come together. This is the kind of university that James Arvilluk envisioned for Nunavut in the 1970s, for example. An institution that would be separate from the college and would preserve and engage Inuit knowledge for the purposes of interacting, sharing, and learning. As independent centers of inquiry, universities can serve as critical spaces which help to foster a more robust civil society. Without independence from government, either public or Indigenous, and from industry, universities, especially in the early stages of development, cannot fulfill their purpose. Combined with education and research that validates Inuit knowledge and social values and reflects Northern priorities, critical engagement with civil society that originates from the North, for the North, and by the North could be a powerful feature of a Northern university. Yet, a university is not only a place to look inward. Universities are also sites of engagement with national and global communities. With increased global interest in the North due to climate change and resource extraction, we would ask, what might an Inuit university look like if it has a mandate to engage not only with Inuit identities and Northern realities, but also with multiple systems of knowledge on a global scale? Finally, the university in Canada can also be linked directly to the development of regional and national economies. Two examples from the provincial North would be UNBC and Lakehead. In southern Canada, increasingly, there is a tendency to view the university as a main pillar of the labor market and commercial enterprise. This tendency is one that should be debated and analyzed in any discussion of a Northern university. Currently, there seem to be three main visions for a university in the North: Inuit, a Nunavut-based university, or a pan-territorial one. Two of them would most likely result in the development of a new institution, while the third would see a university grow out of the existing college systems across the North. The 2010 Gordon Foundation environmental scan reported that the majority of people they interviewed said they were in favor of a pan-territorial university that built on what was already there to ensure that there was no overlap. There are many practical reasons why this makes sense, most of them related to economies of scale. However, there are also reasons why this may not make sense. As we have already described, universities are fundamentally different than colleges, with different institutional and philosophical roots and purposes. The Arctic College has been carrying an incredibly heavy load for the last 30 years. When it was created in 1986, the college's mandate was to offer a wide range of adult learning programs. The goal of the college was to serve as an innovative northern institution for a geographically dispersed population with varied learning needs and priorities. Despite a growing list of partnerships with Southern universities and an expanding suite of cultural programs, the primary focus of the college, like its Southern counterparts, has always been vocational and technical training tied to labor market demands. What is more, the college is not an independent institution. It is a creature of the territorial governments in the NWT and Nunavut, with limited and targeted research functions. The Inuit Society and the National Committee both call for a new, separate Inuit university, just as James Arvilluk and others did in the 1970s. In Greenland, the university evolved separately, and eventually some college programs were incorporated into the university once it was established. Building a university in Nunavut, whether it is an Inuit university or a regional one, will not negate the need for a college. We know that there are many people talking about a university in the north, and in particular an Inuit university based in Nunavut, and that there is work being done on how to move forward from idea to action. With this in mind, the first step seems to be developing a clearer vision for what the university will do, what purposes it will serve. For example, will it be an Inuit university or a regional university? The conversations that are happening seem to be leaning towards an Inuit university that is open to anyone who wishes to attend. So, what would having an Inuit university mean in terms of its mandate and philosophical foundations? One of the challenges is finding the right balance between looking in and looking out. It seems that the experiences of students and instructors in the targeted programs I mentioned earlier and that you've heard about today might provide some insights into how to achieve this balance. It also seems important that whichever model or vision is ultimately chosen, that the university also has mechanisms for it to fit into the broader network of Canadian and international universities to ensure that students can have access to the full range of experiences and opportunities that come with university education. So this brings us to the question, how might these critical questions be addressed in a systematic way? Should there be an independent body established, perhaps a university secretariat or commission? This body could be jointly funded by the federal and territorial governments with a clearly defined mandate and dedicated staff and advisors, as well as a firm time frame for reporting. This independent body could compile research and strategic planning done by Inuit, the National Committee on Inuit Education, and others. It might liaise with other organizations such as the Association of Universities and Colleges Canada, or international examples like the University of Greenland. And it also might engage the broader public through digital media and community visits. An independent review body could engage with larger philosophical questions, but also on practical elements like governance, funding and budget, faculty and staff, programs and curriculum, student supports like tuition, housing, and childcare, how to coordinate and collaborate shared resources and infrastructure available from affiliated institutions in Nunavut, and many other questions, I'm sure. With all these questions in mind, there also arises the question of a role for Southern institutions and partners. So far, we have focused on what a university might mean for the North. However, the process of developing a university in the North also represents an opportunity for Southern researchers and Southern institutions to reflect on when to offer support and when to get out of the way. The establishment of a university in the Arctic should be a time to reflect critically on the historical and ongoing relationship between universities, research, and Northern Indigenous communities. As the university development process begins to take shape, it is important that we start as we mean to go on. Thank you.